Good afternoon again. Welcome to this week's Business Spotlight interview. Today I'm chuffed to say that we've got Tim Mooney from Framex with us. Good afternoon, Tim. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to join us. Over the next 15 minutes or so, and we're going to learn a little bit more about you, about Framex, where you've come from, what the business journey's been like, and maybe a little bit of an insight that might help other people. This podcast and interview will go out to thousands of people over time. And the whole basis of this is that we try and give some learnings to other business owners that you can share with us so we can help other business owners who are going through the same kind of journey that you've gone through. So maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about who you are, what Framex do, how you got started, how you went into business for yourself, and how long you've been around.
Yeah, all right. So, obviously, my name's Tim. I'm 34. I've been in and around windows and doors since I left school, 15, 16. Didn't have any fantastic GCSE results or anything like that. I just went straight to work, basically. I was a bench hand joiner making timber windows and then went into installing UPVC windows and doors for a local company based in Waterford. From there, I decided to go off into the steel erecting world. Did that for a little while, and I worked with a gentleman there that was he was quite a bit older than me, but he was absolutely knackered. You know, his back had gone and all that. And I thought, I can't. I hope I don't end up like that type of thing. So I thought, best thing, I better go to college and get myself a better job and some paperwork behind me. So I did. I went off and did just a small, I think it's a level 4, what they call a HNC in construction. Did that while I was working night shifts at the local bus depot. My dad got me a job there because the steel place had gone quiet. And I did that. Really enjoyed it and went for an interview. When I spoke to a coach, he sort of said you'd be a good surveyor. I wanted to be doing a bit in the office and a bit out of the office. Ended up going for an interview as what was an estimator in as a window and door company, just a start out business, and really enjoyed it. Kicked on there and sort of learnt my trade as an estimator, project manager, selling copious amounts of aluminium windows and doors. Aluminium is a sort of high end product in the glazing world, used a lot in the commercial sector and the high end residential. But particularly like people having extensions and stuff, they're all after a bifold door or a big sliding door. So I'd done, I think it's about 6 years at the previous company. Really enjoyed it, loved it. I've got a young family and a wife now, and just around the pandemic time, you know, she really gave me a bit of a kick up the bum, really, and said, you know, you're so busy doing this for everybody else. Why don't you just do it for yourself? And I sort of took that and said, yeah, all right. So I resigned from my job and then sold our house to fund my business venture. My best friend at the time, he's also a director of Framex. He is a big time builder in the valley, got quite a good reputation of building big houses and things, but sort of had enough of that, but needed an income. So we decided to do it together. He owns a bit of property in the valley, so that was a good starting point for me to get an office and, you know, a bit of a shed and stuff like that. And so we jumped into business together. And we opened. It took us a while. It was pandemic time, sort of at the beginning to mid sort of pandemic. We opened a business. Took us ages. Picked a name. Invested what money we had into various marketing campaigns and things like that. But it was a great time. I believe businesses are all about timing, and it was a great time because people were all sat at home wanting to build a garden office, wanting to knock the back of the house out and build an extension. people were still getting paid and they had nowhere to go with the money, so they were all doing it. Home improvements went bonkers. You know, you couldn't get a builder if you tried. I know a few of my friends who were builders were just, you know, overflowing with work. So we opened the company and we opened a showroom, which has been a big hit really for us. We had all the doors and the windows fitted into the showroom that we did ourselves. And we went on a little journey of sort of buying products in and selling them on as a drop shipping company, really, which we really enjoyed. But we found ourselves relying on other people because we were waiting for them to make the products and often not turning up. The industry's full of that, where companies, they've all got issues and time delays. And yeah, it was COVID time, and I just felt we could do it better ourselves. You know, with the experience and stuff, I decided to go for it myself. So what money we had left, we bought some machinery, a little saw, a little copywriter, and just enough like a basic setup to basically for us to make a let's say an aluminium window, you know, in a factory. Rented a little factory from a local property company, and yeah, spent about 12 months just perfecting what we do, you know, learning the products. There's different systems in the aluminium window and door world, and I knew one of them, but I didn't know all of them, so I had to you know, learn this new product. So we spent 12 months learning the product, but the business was really growing. We did 12 months in the small factory, and then we moved from there into 4 larger factories. So we've got 4 factories running at the moment. They all interconnect, so they're all knocked together as one, but we did that as well ourselves. Good little interesting one when we did move factories. We had to do it over Christmas a year ago. 14 months ago, we had to do it over a Christmas period because that was the only time we shut the factory down. So we had 2 weeks at Christmas, and that was it. So you'll find me 14 months ago just trying to, you know, hold this or pass this or paint the floor or do something. But Steve, my business partner, that's what he does. So he was just left to it, and he carted on and sorted the job out.
Yeah.
We've got a good reputation now. We've got, I think there's 30 of us all together, staff. We have a split site. We have a showroom in Waterford and Chalcliffe Road, and a bit further into the town centre. That's where the 4 factories are. And a good friend of mine looks after that side of the business, sort of the production. I look after the front end, the sales, and we've grown into a right good little business now. We're not perfect, but we're you know, we try our absolute best, and we care a lot about our customers and our service and stuff. You know, I think that's what's made us what we are, really. You know, the service levels and the quality of the product have really shone through for us.
You mentioned that it was your wife who first suggested the idea of going into business for yourself. What was the real driver for you? Was it to make more profit for you personally rather than making money for somebody else, or was it to get more time back to spend with your wife and your family? What was the main motivator for you? Because, you know, not everybody goes into business for themselves.
So I felt that it was just one of them moments in my life where you could have been a what if guy, and I just felt that I've always felt, you know, that my destiny was in my own hands, really, and I'm that way out. When I was brought up, you know, my mum and dad had basic standard jobs and stuff, and when I left school, there were no options there for me. It was just go and get a job. And I've got a 10-year-old who's very much like me in a lot of ways, and I just wanted him to, when he gets to 15 or 16, there be an option there for him, you know, and whether that's have enough money to send him to university, or whether there's a job role there for him and he comes and picks a brush up and starts at the bottom and works his way up. That was the main driver, knowing I had children that were going to be zooming up, and times, you know, I'd spent a lot of time in the kids' younger years when they were babies, really just really putting a shift in for somebody else. You know, I really enjoyed that time. Don't get me wrong, it was fantastic and learned a lot and met some fantastic people and stuff. But you know, I wanted a higher standard of living really for my children, and then give them an option for when they left school.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really the main drive, the kids.
Yeah.
And it's also nice, you know, Framex runs itself these days. I don't really need to be here every day, which is nice. My passion in life is property, and in the future, that's what I will be doing. Whether it's, you know, gutting a 2 up, 2 down council house or whatever, I'll be doing it, you know, because that's what I love doing. In fact, that's what we did the first time round, to be able to have enough money to sort of start a company, because you need some money to get going. In my world, you did anyway. So I've never been one really for trying to borrow off the banks, and I couldn't speak to anyone at the time anyway, because the banks weren't giving bank accounts out. That was one of my biggest problems at the start of the Framex journey, is I didn't have a bank account.
Right.
I needed to open a business account.
Yeah.
None of the big banks were opening bank accounts for people. So I ended up with an online bank, which has been brilliant for us, actually. I don't know where we'd be without it, to be honest. The analytics are fantastic.
Feel free to mention them if you want to. It's fine. We've not.
Starling Bank. They're absolutely brilliant. We've the analytics from them, and me having control over the bank account. So we have, my wife's the director of the business now, as is my business partner, Steve's wife. She looks after the accounts. But we're all, you know, we can see what everyone's up to. If anyone spends any money, we know. So it's just great, yeah. So the banking side was tough, but we sort of fell upon this online bank, and it's worked out really well for us. So good thing, really.
So what do you see as, I mean, you've already mentioned 1 or 2 of the things that you want to move on and do, and it's so great to hear that after such a relatively short period of time that the business runs itself without you having to be there, which, you know, it's our definition of a successful business, a commercial profitable enterprise that can work without you. So you can get that passive income and move on to do other things. What do you see as the aspirations for you and for the business over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, the aspirations for the business are to, you know, grow. It's not about growing the turnover for me. It's about growing the bottom line. The aspirations are to probably at least double the size of the business, and make it a really sound, profitable, happy place to work. I don't, you know, a lot of the staff are my family members. My brother's my engineer, my father's my dispatch manager. My sister-in-law does the storeroom for me. My wife looks after support. My best friend's another director. His wife, who's a close friend of mine, looks after the accounts, you know. So I just want everyone to be happy, earn good money. I want us to be a standard. I don't want any negative reviews. I want everyone to be, you know, screaming from the rooftops about how good our products are. So I want to grow the business to a level where everyone can take a little bit more from it, you know.
How do you, talking about screaming from the rooftops, how do you gather reviews for your business and recommendations and things like that at the moment?
Which we ask who we can, because we're like a trade supplier. We don't deal directly with sort of the end users that take our products into their homes. So we rely heavily on the builders, and the builders are always running from one job to the next, and we don't often see a finished project. So what we do get is, you know, pictures sent in maybe via Instagram or Facebook and things like that. So we try and speak to those customers and ask them for reviews. Some of them just take it upon themselves to go on Google and leave us a nice review, which is always good. And the Facebook as well, that gets quite a bit of people leaving reviews on there. And up to press, we kept everybody happy. That's really keeping our customers happy. We've got a fantastic percentage of our repeat and recommended business is about 80. I think it's 86% of what we do at the moment, which is really high. So what we know there is when we get a customer, we keep them. You know, we market for them, and then once we've got them, we know they come back, or if they don't, they repeat. You know, they recommend us to other people.
Yeah.
So that's really fantastic. You know, making sure that we're keeping customers, bringing new ones on. We're about to start operating a little bit further afield as a business. We've only ever operated in a let's say a 75-mile circle from Waterfoot. Want to go a little bit further afield this year and next, start getting into the south of England. We're geared up for that now. We've invested an awful lot of money. Everything I have has gone into machinery. I buy all my machines brand new from Germany, and I've spent everything on machinery. So they need work, and down south there's plenty of that. So we'll go down south. We've started advertising down there this week, which was always my plan. I just held it right back until I knew we were ready for that. I didn't want to go to the south of England, knowing that there may be a problem with a glass supplier or a hardware part or a shortage on a gasket, just because we can't afford to run down to London every day to do any sort of engineering work. We want to make sure that we are absolutely sure that our products are fantastic, and we're up to, we've got all the stock in place so that we can just deliver, right first time, get it down there, make sure everyone's happy, and that's the main aspirations really, to grow the company, probably at least double the size of what it is today. Make sure the bottom line's looking well, so everyone's happy that works here. And employ locally is a big thing for us. I think everyone that works here, by my brother, but he did used to live over here. He actually travels from Blackpool, bless him, every day. But everyone else is very local to the factory, so they could almost roll out of bed and walk to work in 5 minutes, which is good. So we've took almost 30 staff from Rossendale now, and they all work here, which is good. And we'll do the same again on the next round of employment. We'll look local, try and keep the money in the valley. That's the plan, really.
It's great to see a success story in the Rossendale Valley, because there's been a lot of doom and gloom over the last few years with businesses shutting down, hasn't there, in that neck of the woods? So it's brilliant to see somebody who's increasing employment in the
local. There's some bloody good companies, in the Rossendale Valley. There's some really big ones. We was at the local Rossendale Awards recently, and there's some enormous companies. There's one in Bacups, huge. There's another one just on the bypass in Rossendale. You don't realise, but there's some absolutely enormous companies in this valley. It's known obviously for its slippers and shoes, isn't it? So there's a lot of old mills on the main road there. Some of them still doing awfully well, but a lot of them closed down and now just storage places. But yeah, it's good, really. We've employed some really good people that want to get on and do a good job for us. So yeah, we've got a good team. We're armed to the teeth with machinery and computer systems and all that, and we have good quality control. Obviously headed up by my dad, so he's a bit of a stickler for quality, which is good. Certainly good for our customers. If he finds anything, he sends it straight back to be reworked, so the fabricators have to work on something again if they don't like that. So we try and do it right first time every time. So yeah, good little, I suppose, success story, but there's a long way to go. Yeah, it's not something that I'm looking to get out of anytime soon. I'm still quite
yeah.
It's a good 15 years left with me, I think, to push this on.
Well, listen, one part of this interview is about what we can give back to other business owners who are maybe where you were a few years ago, just thinking about setting out, or they've just set out on the business journey, they've got stuck somewhere. What would you say has been your biggest learning since you've been a business owner?
I think I was okay at school with my maths, and numbers is my gig, I suppose. But when you get to this level, your accountancy and stuff like that is pretty serious. So make sure you have a good accountant about you, that can keep a close eye on you, because you get one of them big old tax bills, and you're not ready for it, it'll fold you. So you need to be ready. Have a good accountant around you if you're going to go for it. I think my advice to anyone is just go for it. I suppose, you know, like it's easy to say that because it's worked out okay for me up to press. I would also say it is not for everybody. You know, this is a 24-hour day, 7-day a week for me. I live and breathe this company. There's nothing I can and don't do at this place. You'll find me sweeping up. You'll find me selling. You know, putting my arm around someone. The more staff you take on, people are tricky. You know, I found that to be a tough one. Just people. Everyone's got different needs and wants and you know, attitudes and everything like that. So that's been interesting.
So you know, obviously you've got 30 odd people now. What's been your biggest learning, would you say, as an employer, as a leader and a manager?
I didn't realise that everyone was so opinionated, you know. So trying to, you know, when someone says, "Well, you know, we should do this and we should do that," let's talk about that. And you know, why don't you do that? You know, rather than just bringing it to me, leaving it on my desk and walking away. I'm all for ideas. I put up a little suggestion box in the factory, which gets some really good stuff in there. I found people to be the trickiest part of this business. Supply chain was fine, so everyone in my world they've always struggled with suppliers. Me, not so much. I've done okay with that. So I've picked my suppliers pretty well. And got good relationships with them. So that's all been pretty good. It's been just more about the people, what their ideas and the needs and the wants and the demands and stuff like that. So it's that's been challenging, 100%. That's been tough. I think the more we take on as well, I think that gets tougher.
Yeah, it does. I think when you start off, you know everybody, don't you? And you said obviously it's a family-oriented company. You've got a lot of family members working in the business. I'm sure from time to time that will present its own challenges as well as benefits.
They're the worst ones. You know, they are the ones that your family. I don't think I'd take any more family members on.
Right.
Yeah, they're the ones probably give me the hardest time. But probably because they're the ones, you know, looking out for me the most. Which is cool. We'll just crack on. And I just take it on the chin, take some of it in, and it's good, yeah. So yeah, that's that.
Tim, it's been really interesting talking to you. We're just coming towards the end of your time. Just a couple of final questions. If you could talk to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you offer your 18-year-old self?
Probably gone and got a bit of paperwork behind me earlier. You know, I'd have probably gone. I'd have tried to go to university, come what may. Not for anything, because I'm not a big graduate or anything. I've got an HNC, and I just managed to get that because I'd give up with it in the end. You know, so I've got my certificate and I went and put the hat on. You know, but it's not a full degree or anything. But I would have just thought if I could give my eldest lad Tyler a bit of advice, it's probably, listen, lad, get yourself to uni, just, you know, or at least go to college and just make sure you do your GCSEs. I had to go back and do my maths and English, as well when I left school, so I can't have done that well when I was coming away. I remember I was fitting windows and I went back to school to sit an exam. So my 18-year-old self, I'd have probably said, stuck to it a couple more years, and gone and got a bit of it. To get a job like I got, they were very much interested in that bit of paperwork, as am I today as an employer. If I'm looking for a job, let's say for somebody as in my offices as an order processor, as a salesperson, I'm looking to see that they've got a bit of construction knowledge in the, you know, background, because I think that really helps. You know, do that type of job, and that job is I would say slightly better paid job than you know, just starting on minimum wage and things like that. You can get a bit more money when you've stuck at college, really. So I think if I could do it again, I'd probably have gone to college straight after school got myself a diploma, or, I don't know, you know, a higher national certificate sooner, and been a bit more alert. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have that. I didn't have that option, and I just went straight to work, and I learnt my trade myself. So it works both ways. You know, I have friends at school that, you know, were completely and utterly, you know, top of the class, top of the school, and they're not up to much. And I see people that I at school, you know, I thought they were the down and outs, and they're absolutely flying now. You know, so they just come out of the shell and really cracked on. So my advice would be to try and just stick at college, do a couple of years, and then look for a slightly better job.
Yeah. So you mentioned accountants and going to college. Are there any other resources that you've found useful, sort of, since you started out in business on your own? Sort of books or podcasts or videos or anything that you've seen that would be useful for other people or that you've used?
Yeah, I've watched a few podcasts of people in my industry. There's one for the glazing world, and I found them stories pretty good. I'm probably going to do one of them for ourselves to put a bit of a face behind the business for us. So yeah, they are good resources. Yeah, I read data sheets and analyze websites all day pretty much. I'm reading you know, the industry magazines just to see we're on the button with the right products, at the right prices and stuff like that. So I spend a bit of time, you know, using them resources, magazines, internet, and yeah, I do watch a few podcasts of other people that have had good success stories in this, because it drives you on a little bit, you know.
Of course it does. Of course it does. How do people get in touch with you, Tim, if they want to find out more about Framex, or they think you might be able to help them in some way?
Yeah, the showroom's been really interesting for us. It's open 6 days a week, so particularly Saturday mornings are always a lovely busy one. We have quite a few builders coming in on Saturday mornings with a customer to just show them the doors and stuff. Everything's on display in there. It's one of the best. I've been around most of them, so I know that it's one of the best aluminium glazing showrooms I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So much stuff in there. So the showroom's fantastic. We have a brand new website that's just gone live. That's framexuk.com. And then everything we do is on email, basically. So you've got your info at framexuk.co.uk. Like I say, open 6 days a week, and then local telephone.
Brilliant. Tim, that's great. We'll put the details of your website and your address for your showroom and your LinkedIn profile on the show notes, so people can find them if they want to. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, Tim. It's been really interesting hearing about your journey.